SNES Man. Hello, my name is SNES Man, and welcome to SNES Man Reviews. Today's game is UN Squadron, unrelated to the United Nations, but still a fun game. There were a lot of 90s side-scroller shooters and playing games that I never got around to playing, but I did get around to this one, and it's a pretty engaging game. So without further ado, let's get down to gaming. Here's our opening scene. The fighting in this area is ferocious. Open eye! We get a fancy Japanese-style opening that really uses the Mode 7 effects of the Super Nintendo. Here's our plane. In this kind of game, purple's not a weird color for a plane. At our title screen, we see a fire Pegasus. I have no idea what it has to do with the game, but let's just take it in stride. Here's our character select screen. All the characters are a little similar, but one of them has a little more power than others. We have these two anime-looking characters, and then we have Greg Gates. He's just awesome, and he's a little bit better than the others. He may have more longer-lasting planes than the other characters, but the reason I like him is he's the oddball. He's grizzled and bearded, unlike the others. Remember Cormano from Sunset Riders? This guy is essentially the Cormano of UN Squadron. Or like Toad in Super Mario Bros. 2. These guys are the oddballs no one picks, but are awesome. Anyway, back to our game. Once you get onto the map screen, you can usually choose which level you want to go to out of some alternatives. Then this old guy lets you choose your plane and supplies, depending on how much money you have. You earn money through the missions. The power-ups are really useful, and you need to use them to beat the game at certain points, but you can't use all of them that you want because you have to pay for them. Here's our first level. Greg Gates comes in on the screen, and we're shooting away. The first things you notice are that the graphics are pretty sharp and clear, it's pretty challenging right off the bat, and the controls are pretty tight. It can be tough to shoot the tanks and things lower down that shoot missiles at you, but once you get the hang of it, the first few levels are not that bad. I get the Capcom symbol and things explode. And we keep shooting on, shooting on, shooting on. It's tough to review a side-scrolling shooter like this because you can't go into detail about the levels. And that's why this review might end up a little shorter than my usual reviews, but it's still fun to talk about. Our first boss is this carrier that shoots missiles at you. You get shot by a few in a row and you're dead. Jeez, UN Squadron, kill me already? We're enemies now. Alright, I'm back again with a stronger gun this time. Let's take him down. He'll have no chance now. Oh, there's one missile. Watch out, Greg. Keep on fighting. Oh, boom, dead. You know, my life is a joke. Alright, that piece of crap tank won't stand up to some better items this time around. Here we go. This time I got a thing called a Mega Crush, and it goes boom and shoots off a missile that rains down lasers. Here we go. Zzz. It's like fireworks on 4th of July. After that, this thing's a pushover. To celebrate your achievement, you get to see your plane fly in and you deliver a triumphant line. Yes, I won! Another interesting feature is the stage select. Instead of just normal missions, you can sometimes choose to attack supply trucks and give you more money. One flaw with this is that at the end of the game, you'll have to bomb trucks over and over for enough weapons to beat the game. I was all excited at first. Boy, we're gonna bomb these trucks and get some money. But then when I realized I had to do it like 20 times to get enough lasers and bombs, I was not enthusiastic. UN Squadron is pretty generous with the money, but once you get up to the high ranks with the expensive planes, that gets ridiculous. The game gets so difficult that you're forced to buy these expensive power-ups near the end of the game. Oh, and here's the question you've been waiting for. Is this game difficult? Well, I know you'll say I'm wimpy SNES Man, can't even beat a game, but yeah, it's hard. I did beat it eventually, but it was tough. Tough as nails. It might start out at a reasonable level, but it gets pretty challenging, especially since the only way to win is through getting all the power-ups. Don't get me wrong, I love challenging games. I love Contra 3, and that's like the granddaddy of Super Nintendo challenging games. But this game, I don't know, maybe it's the fact that there's no password and save, but something about it makes it a little too frustrating for me. Alright, we've established it's a hard game. Now let's move on to how the game's built. Here's how the game works. You choose your items in your stage, plow your way through waves of enemies on diverse environments, then you face off with a big old boss. Some are hard, some are easy. The bosses aren't especially creative or interesting, but they serve pretty well and do a good job. Here's how the damage system works. You have a health bar, and if you get hit by a collision or a plane, it will lower your health for a second and then regenerate some of it back. The only problem is if you get hurt during this danger time, then you'll explode and lose the level. So what's the point of a big health bar when you lose it on a collision a second time? I wish they had just taken a notch out of your bar instead of having this cheap system. Still, it's better than one-hit kills, and it's not hideously flawed, just a little frustrating. The level design's pretty good. The enemies come at you in special formations, you get some interesting looking levels like a forest, and the controls are really tight. You'll never have problems with them. That's like a Capcom trademark. Also, the anime Japanese style of the game is a little interesting and provides a little less monotony in this typical kind of game. And that word there, typical, that's the main problem. The game is pretty ordinary, and really there's not a ton of new things in it. I mean, there's a good item select system and an anime setup, but there's nothing to set this really apart from other games except just pretty quality.
Things to make it better.
A longer game with a password or save option. How many times do I say this on old games? Always have password or save. More unique levels and bosses to set it apart from the millions of other shooters. A normal health bar instead of the danger health bar system. And easier planes and items to buy in the end of the game when you have to get them to beat the game. The game does lots of things right though. The music is fun and action-packed. The controls are tight, the graphics are sharp, it's got an interesting setup with the anime thing. But it's not that original and it has some pretty frustrating flaws at times. It's Judgment Day. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being hideous, 5 being average, 10 being incredible, UN Squadron gets a 7 out of 10. A quite good game, not quite great, but for shooter fans, you'll love it. And a high 7 at that. What's that I hear? Why isn't it higher than a 7? Well, I didn't think it should be, and I made the video, so ta-da! Now for SNES Recommends. Another famous scrolling shooter on the Super Nintendo is Axlay. I haven't played it yet, but everyone tells me it's good. Another similar game is Contra 3 The Alien Wars. This is great scroller shooter action, and it's so much fun. This is like the best on the console for action games. Well, you heard my review, and you heard some suggestions to play, and so I think that's about it. I'll talk to you again sometime soon.